Mark. We got a good turnout here.
Yeah.
So this is we've kind of done this format before, but Freddie and I wanted to really make this a regular thing, and we wanted to kind of build a community. And having this on the calendar sort of forces us to come up with ideas. I know whenever I have something on the calendar that I have to speak on or deliver, I kind of tap into something beyond me and things get organized in a certain way in my mind, and then I show up to present. So it's good because it forces us to show up, and then you guys get to benefit from it. So this is a weekly broadcast we're going to do, and we're both probably more excited than you are to start doing this. So it's going to be, the format's going to be a little podcast style conversation like we did in the past. And then we'll do some of the more hypnosis or experiential processes. So the idea is we're going to take our conversation and make that a podcast. So that'll be the Ministry of the Mind podcast that we'll publish. And then, we'll leave the hypnosis stuff off of the podcast, and that'll be, and the conversational, the conversations we have with you, the question and answers, we'll leave that off the podcast. So you'll have to show up live to get our best stuff. So how does that layout sound to all of you? Got some heads up, some nodding. Good.
Fantastic.
This, by the way, if you don't know, is my excited face. So
I thought your Zoom was frozen, Freddie.
Well, we got Trevor. Trevor, he's here. He's a podcaster, hypnotist as well, great hypnotherapist, but he started doing podcasting about, what was it, a year ago, Trevor? Yeah, and he's getting a great following. So we'll have to be on our mettle here because we'll be taking notes.
I love podcasting. It's super fun. All right, but Freddie.
Nice to see some of your my friendly faces. Doreen, my PA, it's been my PA for the last 2 years on these sessions, making sure that I'm doing the recording and keeping me in line. So it's nice to see you here.
Nice to see you, Freddie and Nicholas, and I see Diane and everybody. Good evening.
Our goal, and Nick was just saying about it, but our goal when we got together, well, I've known Nick now for a couple of years, but when he came to Las Vegas last year to speak to me about doing this, we both had the same goal. We love human development and how good we can be. And all of you here, because I've seen a lot of your faces, I know a lot of you are already working with hypnosis and working with people. But we know, don't we, that physically we're kind of limited, but I don't believe mentally we are. And that's really what me and Nick are about. And Nick, I have to say, you know what I'm like if you've met me. As someone rudely said, my library burned down and both my books were burned. And I said that wasn't the saddest thing about it. I was still colouring one of them in, which is not true. I finished it. But no, Nick he's like he says, he's read like 2,000 books. I can't even count to 2,000. So, he's very well versed in hypnosis and how the mind works. And I can talk forever. So we kind of combine in that way. And it's that, but our goal, while we're working together, if you can call it work, because I can never see this as work, but while we're together, is to create something special. We want to create something that can help people be the best they can be. And really, that's really about letting go more than anything else. It's a bit like, I always think about human development as more like carving a piece of marble, like Michelangelo. It's what you let go of. It's the stuff you cut away that allows you to really get to who you truly are. So I think that's what we're looking at and what we're looking to do. And we're looking to have some fun doing it. So, I love to travel, and Nick's got some ideas for us at some point doing some live training in some exotic places, which you'll all hear about. So you better start looking down the back of the settee for those coins and stuff that you've left down here. Get all your bits together, come and join us on these places. but that's what I'm looking forward to. And I love this, as you know, if you've met me, and I know a lot of you have, I just love talking about it. So today we're going to be talking about confidence and, the role it plays in our life and how it holds us back and in so many other ways. So I think pretty much everyone's here. We've got.
I think we're about ready to go. So if you are, before we officially start, if you want to go ahead and leave a comment in the chat, that would be great. I know some of you already shared, but just leave a comment in the chat. I want to know where you're from, because I know we have people from all over the world. So where you're from, and then what's one thing that you'd like to get out of this? So if at the end of this hour, if it goes over a little, you got this one thing from it, it would have been worth it 10 times over. What would that one thing be for you? If you left this and you were just feeling more confident all the time for no reason at all, how much would that be worth to you? Florida, Toronto. All right. Conference on camera. Okay, perfect. That's very specific. That's perfect. Journey
And if you want to show up on the screen, and I know some of you don't, but switch your cameras, because it's, for me, to see all of you, whether you know it or not. I'm going through all these pages, looking at you. It's great to see friendly faces. It's great to see you, Diana. Diana Fabregas is here, and it's Love Fabregas, isn't it? Yeah, Diana Love Fabregas.
Fabregas, Dave Fabregas. Diana Love, Dave Fabregas.
Oh, I forgot the day. Okay. Yeah, but the fact that you've got love in your name, that's good enough for me.
That was my maiden name, you see.
What, love?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep it.
Fantastic. All right, yeah.
All right. So I've seen a few comments here that are actually perfect. That's what I'm looking for. So public speaking, when trying new things, that was from Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. So I had a total breakdown. Well, we'll get into that in this episode. So Freddie, you ready to officially start here?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, let's do it. So if you want to set the camera setting or the display settings for speaker mode, or do I do that?
I'll do it. Well, in fact, I'll make you
you
co-host. And then you
better control that. You better control the video settings here.
Then you'll have some control. Yeah. In case I decide I'm gonna make a cup of tea or something, you can still take over.
All right. You ready to go?
Yeah, you're now co-host. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on speaker view. And if you can keep it, well, we both keep an eye on at the top, just to make sure that we're letting people in as they turn up. There's still people coming in, all right? Now you should be, I've got you on my screen. Have you got me on your screen?
I have me on my screen. Let me see. All right. Well, I think we're good. You want to just control the video settings and then I think we're ready.
I'm just trying to see where that is now.
Freddie, we got to act like we've done this before.
Well, we have done it before. We did the same thing before as well, if I remember right.
That's right, we did.
Anyway, we'll get there in a moment.
Yeah, we're good at what we're good at. We're learning we're confidently.
See if you've got co-host. See if you can put it onto speaker view.
I can. I just don't know if that's for mine or everybody.
Go just put it on speaker view and see what happens.
All right, I'm on speaker view.
Right. Okay. So if you're with your settings, everyone that's watching, up in the right hand corner where it says view, you can either go gallery view or speaker view. And if you're on speaker view, whoever's speaking at the time, unfortunately, it's me, and we've still got Nick on there. But if you go to speaker view, then you'll see the person that's speaking at the time. If you want to go gallery view, then you'll see everybody. And I'm on gallery view now.
I had myself pinned. Oops. All right. So now I think we're good. Now you're in the video.
Okay. I'm gonna go speaker view.
All right. We're ready. Are you ready, Freddie?
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
And I think
welcome to the first ever breakthrough broadcast our weekly hypnotic session with yours truly, Nicholas Spohn, and my good friend and mentor, Freddy Jacquin. Freddy, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks, Nick. Yeah, always. It's always good to see you. Always good to
Okay.
see these beautiful faces that are here. You know, it makes my day. So yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah.
I guess it's late at night there, but all right. So Freddie, what are we getting into today? I think this was your suggestion for which episode, what we wanted to talk about today. And what are we getting into?
We're going to be talking about confidence and you know how it affects us, and how important it is in our life. I, as most of you know, run it with my son. We run the Jacquin Hypnosis Academy, and we see so many students that have done so many trainings. And one of the reasons that they do another training is they think they've just got to learn one more thing to be confident. I'm just not confident enough to get started. So that's where I see it. You know, it affects so many people. Just not starting. Think if I just need to do this. So it's you know a passion of mine to help people find that confidence. So that's what we're talking about today. As I said, Nick, you know, he's a great reader, devours books. He's a bit like my son Anthony. So I'm going to ask you, Nick, you know, tell us about how confidence has affected you throughout your life, and how do you see it? And what, you know, I know you've read a lot about it. So tell us how it is in, you know, as human beings, how important it is for us.
Well, you can read about confidence, but it's very different than experiencing confidence or a lack of confidence, right? I sent an email out yesterday about how I lacked confidence in my life. You know, it's kind of promoting this session, and somebody on the call responded and sent me an email and said, you know, I can't imagine you not being a confident person. And I thought that's exactly what I wanted you to think. But the truth is, there were many areas of my life where I just lacked confidence. And I had this feeling, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, just this feeling inside of us that stops us. Because it's really, we act emotionally and then we justify with logic. And so confidence is really just a feeling of comfort. When you're stepping into a venture or a new territory, do you feel comfort, or do you feel tight and tense and like your energy's contracting, right? And I think that's the difference. Is confidence is literally just a feeling, one that propels us forward or one that holds us back if we lack it. And so the beautiful thing is it can be learned. We can tap into it easily, repeatedly. There's a specific reason why we either feel confident or we lack confidence. And you know, Freddie, you're someone who I watch get up in front of a room full of hundreds of people, and you try things that most other hypnotists are afraid to do. And it's because of one thing. It's because of your level of confidence, right? Let's start with this question for you. What allows you to be in front of a room full of 200 people and for you to say, in a moment, I'm going to snap my fingers and your pain's going to be gone forever? When most hypnotists would teach it, they'd talk about it, but they wouldn't put their ass on the line every single day like you do. What gives you that power?
I don't think it's power. I think it's letting go of the fear of judgment and my belief in the people in that room, that they're able to get it. And the majority of people do. And, you know, one of my favorite quotes, and it probably is my favorite quote, and it's a Shakespearean quote. And I don't know where I heard it because I don't read Shakespeare. You know, I hardly watch any Shakespeare. But, you know, things pop out every now and again and kind of resonate with me. And this resonated with me. And I don't even know from what play it's from. But these are the words. So our doubts are traitors that make us lose that which we oft should win by fearing to attempt. I'll say it again. Our doubts are traitors, and they make us lose that which we oft should win by fearing to attempt. And how many things would we have done if we just been a little bit braver? Or if we just hadn't worried about what people think if it doesn't work? You know, for me, I think it's not a power. It's just loving what I do and not worrying too much about what others think. And for me, that's an awesome space when you overcome the fear of judgment and judging. You know, you stop judging other people
Mhm.
and you stop worrying about being judged yourself. That's an awesome space to be in. So I don't think it's a power. It might come across like that, but it's because I can't, there's nothing I can do that anyone else can't do. It's just about doing it. You know?
Do you find that most people are even aware that they can change their confidence level? Because it's almost like most people are like, they walk around and they're like, oh, I'm just not confident in this setting. And I look at Nick and he's so confident, like he must just be born that way. Well, I appear that way because of the steps I've taken, the things I've done that we're going to get into. But do you think most people even know that they can reprogram themselves to step into a situation and have an overwhelming sense of confidence? Are they even trying to change that?
I don't think that I don't believe people understand that. I don't believe they do. Otherwise, they would do it. You know, one of the great hypnotherapists, I would say probably now, you know, if he was about these days, he probably wouldn't seem as great. But Milton Erickson, in his time, you know, he was a leader and he just tried things and did things. He did, you know, really strange things. If you read some of his case studies, they're incredible and they're funny. But he said this. He said, you can pretend to be anything and then become it. Think about that. You can pretend to be anything and then become it. You know, try pretending to be confident for a week. Just do it. Just like go today for the next week, I'm going to act super confident, even if I'm not feeling it, and see what happens. You know, one of my sons, when he was about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, I would say that. I said to him, we were driving somewhere, and I said, you're acting like an idiot. And he said, but I'm not an idiot. I said, I know you're not an idiot. I think you're a genius. I said, but you're acting like an idiot. I said, I know you're a genius, but what are other people going to think? They're going to think I'm an idiot. I said, exactly. You know, if you act like an idiot, other people are going to think you're an idiot. If you act confident, people are going to think you're confident. And if you do it long enough, you become it. So, you know, they're not, some of these things that for me, they're not even learned. It's just things that maybe it's just age. You see these things as you go along, you know? And but so for me, I don't think I've always been confident. And I know Melissa Tears, she, you know, from the New York, brilliant punk rocker, as I always think of her, hypnotherapist. She interviewed me once after a conference in London, and I just done my presentation, you know, and I never test people. And a lot of hypnotists go, they want to find their best subjects to do a good demo. I never do that. I just say, if you're in pain, come up, and you've seen it yourself, like most of the room come up. I'm not going to test people. I'm going to assume they can all get it. And she said to me after, you know, how much of what you do on stage and what you do is pure confidence? And I just said, and I think I made the word up. I said, I don't think it's confidence. So not give a shit ability. And it's not like I don't give a shit, because I do. I really care about people changing. But it's more about not worrying about what other people think. I do my best. You know, that's how I kind of live my life. And I do my utmost and I leave it at that. So maybe that is it. I don't know whether you call that confidence or how you put it, but I think it comes across like that.
I think there's definitely a level of, you have this detachment where your self-worth isn't placed on how other people see you. But I want to get into, I guess, so you talked about just acting, pretending you're confident for a week and see what happens. And that does absolutely work. But here's my ideas about why our nervous system isn't programmed for confidence as a default setting, right? There's evolutionary reasons for you not to be confident. And Freddie, I know you talk about how many books I've read, but this came to me without books. So this is like when you tap into the field, right? So what I believe is, our brain is kind of this conglomeration of, we have a reptilian and a mammalian section, and then our neocortex. And so we're kind of like pieced together a little bit. And so there's these parts that are in conflict. And one of our parts, whether it's the reptilian or mammalian, or maybe a little bit of both, they have this feeling that we shouldn't feel confident until we are the alpha, the complete top of the food chain alpha. So if you think about a tribe of chimpanzees or a group of chimpanzees, we got one person here we need to mute. There's one of them that gets to be confident, right? That alpha male gets all the resources, or alpha female gets all the resources, all the women, they get to decide where things go. But the problem is there's always another chimp that's working their way up the food chain ready to challenge them. And so the only time another chimp could ever get to feel confident was when he was ready, when he saw weakness in that alpha and was ready to strike, right? Like was ready for a life and death battle. Because if I'm not skilled, if I'm not capable of taking on that alpha, but I walk around with my chest up and I'm acting confident, well, guess what? That alpha is going to challenge me right on the spot to the death. And so I only, evolutionarily in my nervous system, I only got to feel confidence when I was at the point of being ready to challenge that alpha for a life and death battle. Does this make sense? So if that's how the nervous system works, but there's caveats to that. So, and even then, when I challenge that alpha, I become the alpha. Now I'm only there for a short amount of time because the next chimp is going to come challenge me. And so many people in that group of chimps would say, oh, you know what? Let them fight to the death. I'll just be down here getting the scraps and surviving and not feeling confident. But our society today is set up not so that the most confident, not that the most skilled person gets all the resources, but that the most confident person gets all the resources. So when we see someone confident, we assume they are an alpha, they are a leader, and they have status, right? It's like our default when we see somebody that walks around comfortable, at ease, and confident, we just assume they're successful, right? We're influenced by them naturally. We think that they're the leader of our tribe, when in reality, they just have a feeling inside of them. Does this make sense?
Well, I think the whole dynamics changed, didn't it? We don't have to fight for that level now, and I think
Correct.
Where size, strength, those kind of things were important. Now, intelligence. So it's a different dynamic.
So there is, I think my point is that's the way our default mechanism is set up a lot of times. And you and I are going to help people override that so they can feel confident in any situation at any time, because there really is no threat.
I think it's not as much as we're talking about confidence. I think beyond that is an intrinsic self-worth. It's more an intrinsic self-worth, an understanding that you are good enough, that you are already a whole being, that you have a right to show up. You don't have to be the alpha male. You don't have to be the best looking person in the room, the tallest woman, the blondest woman, whatever it might be. You have a right. You have an intrinsic worth and value. And I think that's how I see it. I had a nurse come to me once and she said, I failed my nursing exams twice. She said, and it's because I lack confidence. Can you help me? And I said, yes, I can help you feel more confident. But before I help you feel more confident, are you competent as a nurse? Because I might get ill in 3 weeks' time and you might be my nurse. It's okay. It's okay feeling totally confident for passing your exam, but are you competent? And I think, so there's levels of what we're talking about here. But for me, confidence is that underlying feeling that I'm good enough, that you don't have to be the alpha male, the best looking woman in a room, the most intelligent person, the richest person to feel confident. Then you can, from that point of view, and that's what I want everyone to experience here tonight, that feeling, you can walk in any room and know that you are a good enough person, to feel okay, to believe in yourself and know that you are showing up as yourself, that you're already a whole being. You don't need to be anyone else. So it's that kind of strange position between what we would call confidence, where you see someone walking out and they appear to be like they're completely fearless. And, you know, I don't think anyone is. I don't think very few people are completely fearless. But to be able to, there's that kind of confidence, which we kind of, when we think about confidence, think about this person, they're really confident, or that person really confident. What I'm talking about, what I want everyone to experience, is that feeling of absolute self-worth. Because then you can show up and you can be yourself in any situation and know that that is good enough. You know, when I was a kid, I lived in a place called Tunbridge Wells, Royal Tunbridge Wells in England. And it was a kind of retired colonel's place. You know, it was very, very English and British. And we were kind of an immigrant family, to be honest with you. You know, arses hanging out of our trousers and all that kind of stuff. And I went to school, and there was a guy, and I remember his name because it must have affected me that much. I could have only been 7 or 8. And this kid said, "Call me Black," right? He said, "You're Blacks," right? And which which is a bit of a strange thing to say, really, because it was only because I was different and he didn't know any better. So I went home to my mum, and my mum was, she was very, very smart. And she said, "Well, don't worry about it. He's only jealous of your olive skin and your brown eyes. And in the summer, his mum's laying in the garden trying to get your color." But she said to me at the time, she said, "There's no one better than you." And in the next breath, she said, "But you're not better than anyone else." And with that, from that point of view, I can talk to anyone. I can talk to anybody in exactly the same way. If you see me show up, I'm not different in when I'm presenting. I'm not different when I'm talking to you. I'm not different when I'm standing in a bar talking to anybody, because this is who I am. I don't feel I need to be anything else. And it's also the understanding that some people get you and some people don't. And and you can't spend your life chasing those people who don't get you, trying to convince them you're okay. You've just got to say that's the way it is. And by putting things in perspective as well, the things that we worry about, if you put it, and I must have read this somewhere. If you look at whatever you're worrying about at the moment, or whatever you're thinking about and beating yourself up over them, if you put it in terms of eternity, put that in terms of eternity, then all of a sudden it's like, what is it? It's nothing, is it? So I think that's partly when we get to that point of letting go of any judgment, letting go of the fear of being judged, and knowing that you're already a good enough person. If you are living your life, in the way that you think you should be living it, and for me, well, you know me, I'm there's a lot of things you could point at me and say, well, but I try and be as kind as I can be. I try and do my utmost for anybody that steps on my path, and I try and be as good a man as I can be, and I leave it at that. I don't strive to be perfect, so I'm not going to be, because I'm a man, and those two words just don't fit in the same bracket, to be honest with you. But I do my utmost, and with that, I can step out on stage and present, wanting the best for everybody in that room, and that's it. And I think what I want for everybody before they leave here today is that understanding that you are already a whole being. You're already good enough, and you can step into any place, talk to anybody, and do it confidently.
Freddie, I think there's two kind of frames, and I think what I was discussing with that group of chimps is the like competitive comparing and status frame, where like I have to compare my status. I'm competing with everyone, and I can only feel confident if I'm better than everyone or everything, right? And so I think that's the default for most people. And of course, we can always look at someone who's farther than us in a certain area and lack confidence if that's the frame we look at the world. But you're in a different frame where it's a frame where you're collaborating, where you're selfless, right? You're not thinking about yourself and how you compare, you're thinking about how you can serve others. And so, you know, in that frame, there's nothing that stops you from feeling comfortable because you're not competing, you're not fighting for status. A true alpha, you know, I'm using the word alpha from how we evolved, doesn't even play the status game at all. That's how you know someone's a true leader. That's how they have true confidence. Because a lot of people will posture with the confidence because that's how they want to feel. But someone who's truly confident, like, will walk into a room and they'll be so comfortable that they don't even think, oh, am I confident? Right? Like that's not even a thought. They're so comfortable with who they are in the room and where they are, that the idea of, oh, I have to like turn on confidence or I wish I was confident doesn't even cross their mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that everybody has the ability, and we're going to show everyone tonight how to do that. Everybody has the ability to show up confidently and to be confident and to walk in that space. It's, you know, I'll say there are two major problems that we have as human beings. The first one is expecting too much of ourselves. And when we don't match that, we beat ourselves up over it. We expect more of ourselves than we expect of anybody else. You know, and our expectation of ourselves as human beings. And when we don't match it, we beat ourselves up over it. That's the biggest problem that we have as human beings. And the second one is mind reading. They'll be thinking that. She must be thinking that of me. He'll be thinking that. What if I do this? And what are they going to be thinking? We have to remind ourselves we can't mind read and we don't know what other people are thinking. But we spend our lives in those two frames. And again, it's just an understanding. I find that most of the things that enable us to change, to step into our power, to be confident, to...
Hold on, I'll put those down, I'll take them on.
You can just mute everyone and I'll switch it back on.
Looking.
Done that?
If
If you go to participants and mute everyone, mute all.
Oh, all right. Hold on.
I've done it. All right, done it. It's not letting me do it for some reason.
Oh, you muted me, but everyone should be muted. You should be good.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, that enables us to, that, for me, change isn't that difficult. We were talking about this yesterday. You know, I see that we can change very, very easily. It's just more an understanding of how we function and the things that hold us back. And those things, well, as you know, all of those things are in our head. None of them are actually real. And so by that understanding, that expectation, and again, you know, a lot of people here, because you've been to my groups and you've been to my training, you know that my mantra is all about unconditional self-love. And that's purely because if you have an unconditional self-love, then you stop beating yourself up over the smallest mistakes. And you stop worrying too much about what other people might be thinking. And that's, again, it's an awesome space to be in. So I don't think it's difficult. It's just an understanding that the limitations we have are in our head. And I say, when we get past that thought of what other people are thinking and judging you by, because people, you know, and especially I see clients, and it's a big problem for me, you know, they're worrying about what other people think. And I say to them, most people are so caught up in their own stuff. They're not thinking about you at all. And yet, you know, we think everyone must be thinking this and that of us. So it's more about relaxing into yourself. That's how I see gaining that confidence and just going, you know what, I'm okay. I'm all right. I might not be, you know, the tallest person, the blondest person, the strongest person, the best looking person, richest person, but I'm okay. You know, and I'm a good person, and I can step into that power and then go, yeah, I have a right to be able to walk in any room and just be me. I don't
And
have
Freddie,
to pretend to be someone else.
if you can do that, you will be ahead of the person that's the tallest and the best looking and the most confident and the richest, because most of the time, that's all a mechanism for them to compensate for not feeling confident to begin with, right? Like, I know some very attractive people who, like, that's what their whole identity is.
It's nice of you to say so. Yeah.
Well, I know you're attractive, but you don't, your identity's not built on it. But I know people that they obsess over it. And if somebody doesn't give them attention for how attractive they are, they're crushed and they don't know what to do because they really just lack confidence. So looks and money and fame and being tall doesn't give you confidence at all. Right. And I think a lot of people, they compare themselves to those people, but the competition should really be who can be the most confident in a setting, who can be the most comfortable with who they are. That's what we're all really, not that we're competing, but that's what we should all be striving for is, can I be more comfortable in this setting than anyone around me?
You know, it's what I was saying earlier. It's about what you let go of, it's not what you gain. It's letting go of all those things that when we're younger, particularly, that we place value on. You know, I have to have a pair of Nike trainers. I'm not going to school. You know, if I can't have that kind of hat, nobody's going to like me. You know, it's what the world's built on. It's what, you know, these massive businesses are built on. Why do you need a Tesla when a Fiat 500 would get you from A to B? Why do you need, you know, any of these things that people strive to have and put themselves, you know, stress themselves out over getting? Because that's what sells everything. And if anyone knows me, you know that I drive a 25-year-old BMW. It's still got cassettes in it. You know, it's got a phone. It doesn't even work. It's got one of those ones with a wire on in the middle of it. And, you know, people say, well, you get yourself a decent car. It is a decent car. It's got heated seats. What more can a man want? But, you know, it's just about not worrying about what people think. The guy across the road's got 2 Bentleys. You know, I've one wasn't good enough. You know, something, no, I don't know. It's just about, you know, it's nice to have those things. Don't get me wrong. But if you place your value on that, all that can be taken away. What I'm saying about confidence is being able to 100% be yourself and believe that you are, and I'm going to say it, and I say the words good enough. You are good enough. You know, like my mum has said, you know, there's no one better than you, but you're not better than anybody else. And with that understanding, I can speak to anyone, and I do. I speak to royalty and I speak to the guy in the gutter in the same way. I don't change and they don't change. As far as I'm concerned, they're both worth the same to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a strange space. It's a different way of thinking. But if we can get to that point, you can breathe. You know, most people are so uptight about what people are thinking. Just to be able to go, you know, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm good enough. So, yeah, it doesn't stop you from striving or working towards having a nice car and having a nice house and having the clothes you want, and as long as that you're not placing your value on those things, that's what I'm saying. That's where I see confidence in just that, the belief in yourself. There's difference. You can be confident in what you do as a living, can't you? You can be a confident nurse. You can be a confident whatever you're doing, mechanic or whatever it is. There's that confidence, but the confidence we're talking about here is an intrinsic self-confidence, and that's what we're not hoping, because we're going to do it. We want everyone to go off this call tonight with that understanding. Imagine just being able to walk in any room and know you're as good as anyone in there, and not just know it, but just get into that space and be able to talk to anyone. Doesn't matter if it's, whoever it is. And that's what I want for people, just to understand that value and their worth. That's how I see true confidence. But it's different to what maybe you think is confidence. But well,
I was going to do an exercise that was tied exactly to what you were saying. And it's just kind of a thought process here. And so I want people to, as a way to start like retraining their nervous system and how their neurological files are set up, if you can just take a minute and think back, and I'm speaking to your unconscious mind. So consciously, you can pay attention or just drift off, but unconsciously, I want you to just think about all the times that you were not confident. Maybe it's when you started a new school, or somebody said something on the playground, a time where you didn't feel confident. And then I want you to ask your subconscious mind, this could be many occasions or just one, what would I have gained in that situation by just feeling confident? How much better would that scenario have been if I just felt confident in that situation? How would my life have improved? Just take a moment to kind of assess that. Was there any risk? Or was it all upside for you to just feel confident? Now take a moment, and I want you to think about a time or context in your life where you were confident, where you had that feeling of just comfort, of ease, of self-acceptance. You didn't have to prove anything. Think about a few times like that, where you just had total confidence. And now I want you to think about, if you didn't have confidence in that situation, would your life have been better or worse? If you lacked confidence in a situation where you used to be confident in, would your life be better or worse? So I want your nervous system to process. I'm guessing for many of you, the answer was, well, when I lacked confidence, my life would have been better if I was confident. And when I was confident, I wanted to stay that way. Like, it was better me being confident. And your nervous system, your subconscious mind, will see there was no risk for you to be confident. There's no risk for you to just feel confident all the time. If you really look back in your life and you assess those situations, your nervous system, your subconscious mind will go, oh, I can just feel confident all the time for no reason, because it makes my life better. I'm more capable. I connect with others better. I'm more present. And so now that you're kind of maybe realizing you can just allow yourself to feel confident for no reason at all, just take a moment and think about, in the future, how much more confident you're going to be naturally, how much easier it's going to be for you to just say, hey, there's no risk for me being confident. Why don't I just feel confident right now? And allow your subconscious mind to manage that process. And so I think, Freddie, sometimes, the subconscious mind that feeling gets linked to a certain context. And so when you really look back at all the context, you realize there was no benefit to not just feeling confident all the time, right? And so I think this is the part of the process of mentally rehearsing and seeing yourself as that type of person, and doing the work ahead of time to imagine feeling confident all the time in any situation. And that's kind of what I do. I got that email the other day that said, well, I always think of you as confident. And I'm like, well, she met me at Hypno Thoughts. And what I do before I go to that conference is I imagine how I want to show up. I imagine myself feeling confident. Like I see that play out over and over again. And when I show up, it's just a natural feeling. And so I think we can just train our subconscious mind into that feeling all the time. And that's what I do. So I don't know if that helps anybody, but that's part of my secret.
I think it is something you can, like I was saying to you, you can call it training. You get into that state of mind, you visualize yourself doing it confidently, you picture yourself doing it, that's how you do it. But that's what I was saying. You could pretend to be pretty much anything and then become it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much difference between pretending and visualizing that outcome. You don't feel it inside. One of the most amazing things in all of the time I've been doing this work as a therapist, hypnotherapist, is the amount of amazing, truly amazing women that come to see me and I ask how I can help. And they say, I lack confidence and self-esteem. My mouth, because you just cannot believe how many women who, incredible. And I can see a lot of incredible women here. But it's very often you scratch the surface and they're quivering wrecks. They truly lack that confidence. I had a client come to see me once, and maybe in her 30s. And when she came to see me in the therapy room, she had like a tracksuit on and her hair tied back in a bunch, no makeup on. And she was telling about her life and a couple of kids and a husband she loved and all that kind of stuff. And I said, how can I help you? So I lack confidence, she said, and I lack, and this self-esteem. She said, I do this job, she said, and I'll go home of an evening and I do that post-mortem. I should have done this. I could have done that better. So I said, what do you do for a living? And I swear, this is what she said. She said, I'm the news anchor woman for BBC World News. She said, I interview kings, queens, prime ministers, presidents. And this woman's sitting in my office telling me she lacks confidence. You just cannot believe it. And I thought I'm going to have to go and see her on TV. So I went on the World News. There she was, perfect suit, perfect hair. You would not know that woman every night beats herself up over that. And so the majority of us, and people say that, you're saying about me, I have my doubts. Of course I have my doubts. I spent my life as a 5'6" man. Of course I've got doubts. It's like, we all have our doubts about something in our life, but it's never kind of stopped me. And I remember once, I was single and I was out with a couple of friends, and both these guys were self-made millionaires, and they were probably only in their early 30s. And I wasn't. Not in my early 30s, but I wasn't a self-made millionaire. And I remember we were out having a drink, and there was a girl there in the bar, fabulous looking girl. And I said, I'm going to ask that girl out. And they went, she can speak 5 languages, right? That was what's stopping them asking this girl out. I said, she can speak 5 languages. My answer was, well, as long as one of them's English, I'll be okay. So that was my attitude towards it. And I asked her out, and we had, a good time together for a long while. But it was just about, thinking, what's the worst thing can happen? They can say, pee off. That's the worst thing can happen. And I'll just walk back to my mates, tail between my legs. But no, people, I was saying this the other day to a group of people. How much brain space do we take up worrying about stuff that never happened? A bit like the question you were asking, how many things we missed out on because we didn't ask? I know I am who I am, but I've been lucky enough. When I was single, I was lucky enough to been out with some of the most fabulous, intelligent, lovely people. Not because I'm tall, not because I've got any money, not because I've got a lot of hair. I did have back then, mind you, but because I would go and ask. While other guys are stood around thinking I've got no chance, I just go and ask someone out. You know, what's the worst thing can happen? And so it's that, it's not fearlessness. It's just not worrying about what other people think too much. I want everyone here tonight to, it's not about thinking I've got to be the best hypnotherapist before I go and do this work. I've got to be the tallest person in the room, the best person. You don't have to be any of those things. I'm going to, and I know some of you know this because I've been saying it to you for a long time. You're already the most incredible creation. I truly believe that. You are the most incredible creation, every single one of you. Just think about it. How incredible are you? Just think about it. And then you can step up and go, you know what? I can speak to anyone. I can walk in any room and I can feel confident. You know, there's Karina here. And Karina, when I went to the Irish conference, I saw Karina present. She was incredible. And she is incredible. That's why I'm glad she's going to HTL. But I don't think Karina, even now, truly understands how incredible she is. I'm going to keep telling her until she does, as I am with everybody else here. I know how incredible Doreen is and Diana is. You know, I've met these people. And so I know, I honestly, I can look at all of you here and I can hand on heart say, you are the most incredible creation. We beat ourselves up, we look in the mirror and we think we should be slimmer, or we should be taller, or we should be this and that. No, your body is already the most incredible creation. Get into that. Think about it. How incredible are you? And most of you here are truly loved. You have someone in your life that absolutely adores you. It might be your kid, it might be your partner, it might be your sister, your brother. How incredible are you? Get into that space. That's what I want you to get into tonight. And then it doesn't matter what anyone who doesn't know you thinks. You know, when my two older boys, who are now 53 and 50 this year, when they were, I don't know, 4 or 5, and I was like early 20s, I suppose, and an opportunity for a job came up or a business came up, and Sharon switched the camera off, but I'd rather have seen her, waved to her. Yeah, I can see where she gets it from, Sharon. But, you know, when my boys were young, and an opportunity for a business come up, my question was just simple. What's the worst thing that can happen? If this goes pear-shaped and a business doesn't work or the opportunity doesn't turn out, my thinking was I'd still have 2 boys that love me and a woman that loved me. And with that understanding, I could go and do anything. If the bottom line was I'd still have those people who love me. That was just my attitude towards life. And I think all of you here, we can look outside ourselves for our worth and our value. And I think that's the problem. You know, when you start to look inside and go and work from the inside out rather than the outside in, then you can step into your space, step into your power, step into your real being and be your authentic self, sharp as yourself. And then that's what I think is true intrinsic confidence. Just that's my thinking on this, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think, you know, one thing you had mentioned was, where was I going with this, Freddie?
Confidence?
Yeah, no, I had a point a minute ago about, okay, so no, it's gone. Just poof, just completely gone. So
You will remember it.
I will. It'll come back right when you're talking. I know it will. So let's talk about how we can help these people on the call just to feel that all the time, because it's easy to say, just be confident, but it's another thing to get somebody to step into that situation and go, oh, you know what? I just noticed that insecurity I used to have in this situation. It's just gone completely. And I actually feel confident. So how do you get someone from, oh, I wish I felt confident in that situation, to it's the most natural thing in the world and it just generates that state automatically?
Well, we have a tool called hypnosis. And if you think about confidence, the other side of that coin is, what is it when you don't feel confident? Then it's fear. It's, for me, our instinctive brain, our two drivers. There are two drivers in human beings. And I believe that our brain is only ever trying to do one of two things for us. It's trying to give us pleasure, or it's trying to protect us. If you want to go back to our very basic animal needs, those two needs are procreation and survival. They're the two major drivers in a human being still. We've become more sophisticated and more social and civilized, but the drivers are still the same. So when a client comes to see me, and no matter what the problem is, my only question in my own mind is this about pleasure? Because if it's not about pleasure, then it's about survival. It's about protection. So if you look at confidence in that way, what's confidence doing for us? Like you said, initially, when we were in those packs where you had an alpha male and you had to be super confident or not confident, because you're going to get killed if you showed up confident without competence in fighting. If you weren't big enough, strong enough. So those drivers are still the same. And it's still the same for us. If we show up and we act confident and someone finds out, it was we don't hear it quite as much now, but 2 or 3 years ago, buzzword was the imposter monster, wasn't it? What if I show up and people realize I'm not really any good at this? The imposter monster, that voice in our head. And there's that fear that if I show up and I do this, I know it from the students we have. What if I do this and the person doesn't quit smoking, the person doesn't lose the weight, the person hasn't lost the fear? How am I going to feel about that? Those are the things that stop us from doing what we should be doing. So for me, when we do this work, and every limitation, when we come into this world, they say we're only born with two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. And that's why years ago, I don't know if they still do it, but when a baby was born, the nurse or the midwife would pick the baby up. It wouldn't drop it. It looks like it's about to drop it. You don't drop it. No, you pick it up and you just move it like that. And it would do the Klingon response, way back to when we used to hang onto our mother's backs, right? So you do that with a baby and it would do that, the Klingon response. They'd lay the baby in the cot, stand behind it and clap their hands. And if it did the startle response, they could pretty much say that the baby's brain's functioning properly, because those two things we're hardwired with. Everything else that we're afraid of is learned. So think about that. Everything is learned. And like with everything we learn, once it's learned, it's difficult to change it consciously. When people say, I've got a fear of this or a fear of that, people say, well, just pull yourself together. It's irrational. What, you're afraid of balloons? You're 6'8" man. What's wrong with you? They understand someone could do that. I've had a rugby player that was afraid of balloons. This guy would take on 6 people on a rugby pitch. He would not go in a room with a balloon. And he knew that was crazy. But that might as well have been a Bengal tiger. But if you're 18 months old and you're sitting at a party in a pushchair and someone walks past and pops a balloon in your face, that sticks with you forever. And that's what happened probably in this case. I don't know. We didn't go back to find out. But that piece of programming is then set. And we can do all kinds of other talking therapies. But what hypnosis does, it allows the operator, the hypnotist, the hypnotherapist to communicate directly with that piece of programming and get it to change. So when we do this work this evening, and I help you all go into hypnosis, I'll speak to the part of you that's running that protective mechanism that's stopping you from showing up. And it's not a bad part of you. At some point in your life, you may have acted confidently, and well-meaning people, parents, teachers say, you don't want to show off. I know you're good at that. Don't show off. And you feel really bad about it. And you're never going to do that again, are you? If you've been made to feel bad about it. Or if you do something in class and you think you're really good at it because you're a kid, and the teacher kind of slaps you down for showing off. So all of those things affect us. But wherever it started, it doesn't matter. But in that moment, you would have gone, remind me, I never want to feel like that again. In that moment, you create that part of you that's running that protective mechanism. And we as hypnotists, luckily, have access to that part. So I'm going to speak to that part of you that's responsible for your confidence. Ask it what it's trying to do by stopping you from feeling into that confidence. And it's only ever going to be a positive, at some point it was a positive intention. We'll ask it to explain why you've been unable to feel as confident as you want to feel. And then we're going to ask, go to your creative mind and find ways of keeping you safe, well, and protected in our society, but at the same time allowing you to tap into that intrinsic worth and self-confidence. And when that happens, I promise you, all of those limiting beliefs you had that were holding you back will be gone. And you better show up knowing that you're as good as anyone else on this planet. And step into your power, step into your true intrinsic self and go, you know what? I'm good enough. And I do this, things I do from my heart, and I do it with best intention. That's all we can ask of ourselves. Many of you will be parents. And by now, many of you will be beating yourself up over the way you brought your kids up. What did I do wrong? I wrote a little book called Potent Shrew on helping hypnotherapists help parents use some of these techniques for their kids. And the last words in that book were this: if everything that you do for your child is with love and best intention, even if you mess it up completely, that's all you can ask yourself. If you've done everything you can do with love and best intent, that's all you can ask yourself. And it's the same with us. If you show up and your intentions are good and what you do is from your heart, then that's all you can ask yourself. And you can step into that power and say, you know what, I'm good enough. I don't have to be perfect. So that's what I want for all of you during this evening, is to get you into that space, to let go of any of the irrational doubts and fears that are stopping you from being as confident as you want to be, and see what happens. And when that happens, I promise your life will change. Your life will change, and the people around you's lives will change. And the moment you stop judging and stop being afraid of being judged, and all those things are going to happen this evening. I'm warning you now. You won't have a choice in it, all right?
So let's get into that in a minute. So Freddie, I want us to go back to the idea that I had that had disappeared for a moment because I wasn't ready for it, but now I'm ready for it. So the idea is, confidence in, I'm going to speak more, not just in like a whole self-confidence, but in certain contexts for a minute. Cause that was some of the concerns that came up was, when I'm speaking or when I'm on camera, So I'm going to speak a little bit more specifically to the context. And this is what my chapter in your book was about. For those of you who haven't gotten it yet, it's ready for you to get out there and buy it. So more context specific confidence. So in that one setting that you want to be more confident in. And if confidence is comfort, we get comfort by exposure. So when we're around something in a safe setting, we kind of feel it out and go, oh, you know what? It's okay for me to feel comfortable here. So the first time many of you step out to speak in public, you'll have this natural like anxiety and fear, right? But the more you do it and the more you visualize yourself doing it, the more comfortable you'll get. And so this is part of the process, is seeing that playing out so clearly. Like when I give a talk, I visualize it, I see it, I know how I'm going to show up, I know how people are going to respond to it. And then when I deliver, my subconscious mind takes over and I'm confident. I've seen it so many times. And over the years, the more I've done it, the more comfortable I get. But the way Freddie was talking about, you have to, you know, the girl in the bar, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable and just go have that conversation, or just take out your camera and film an Instagram reel and just put it out there and know that it's not perfect, right? And step into that comfort and get exposure to it. And the more you do it, the better you get, right? And hypnosis is the only way I know to kind of shortcut that process to feeling confident, because you can get exposure to it in your imagination over and over. You can rehearse filming that video 10 times in your head. You can rehearse feeling comfortable while you do it, because there's no risk when it's in your mind, and then pull out your camera and do it, and you'll feel comfortable. You're like, oh, that's over. That wasn't so bad. But at some point, you have to hypnotize somebody. You have to go talk to the girl. You have to step out and speak in public. That's where your growth is actually stepping in to those situations that used to make you feel a little tense or a little bit unsure. And so we do it as many times in our mind as possible. And then we step out and you have to do it. You got to make the sales call. Whatever that thing is that you're like uneasy about, rehearse it in your mind. Freddie's going to do some hypnosis that's going to probably knock it out all the way. But anytime in the future, just see it happen in your mind the way you want it to go. Feel the feelings. Your subconscious mind goes, oh, I've seen this situation before. I've been exposed to it. I can be comfortable in this situation. There's no threats here. And so that's kind of my protocols when someone comes in and they're like, I'm afraid. I just did a session last week with someone who, for a public speaking thing, I just had him imagine it, change the frame of it. I had him be selfless and see the audience and shift his focus. And he imagined it a few times. And he was like, he just texted me today that he got a standing ovation from his talk because it was so powerful. So this is the power of when you can just rehearse and get that feeling of confidence in these specific contexts. And then I'm going to hand it over to Freddie, and he's just going to knock out anything that might be lingering that's ready to go.
Just there's one more thing I want to say on this, maybe two, but one more thing I want to say on this is that the way our brains work is that we can't do anything. We can't do anything. If I ask you to pick up a cup, you could do it easily. If I say could you pick up your cup, take a drink from it, put the cup back down, you could do it easily. To build a robot to do that one simple task would be immense. It would take the best mechanics, the best computer people to do that one simple task. The moment I ask you to pick that cup up, in a microsecond, out of consciousness, your brain will figure out everything you need to do to make that happen before you move a muscle. There was a bit of research done where they put this guy in an MRI scanner, one of those HR MRI scanners where they can see the activity of your brain. So there's a couple of people looking at this guy's brain activity, and they gave him a simple task. And his task was to press a button in his right hand or his left hand randomly. Whenever he wanted to press the button, just press the button. After 5 or 10 minutes of watching this guy's brain scan, they could predict which thumb he was going to press before he pressed it. And get this, sometimes it was 15 seconds before he pressed his thumb. They could predict which thumb he was going to press, even though he thought he was doing it as he thought about it. Now, when I read that piece of research, can't remember when, but when I read that piece of research, what occurred to me was I can't do anything. I can't speak to you all this evening. I can't pick up a cup. I can't present in HTL. I can't do anything without my brain running to the outcome. It's going to figure out everything I need to do before I do it. And it's going to do that out of consciousness. In other words, the whole thing has been pictured and figured out in my head before I even move. I want you to think about this for a moment. I can't do anything. You can't do anything without your brain running this schema on it. Everything you need to do. And because, as I was saying earlier, our strongest driver is survival. When we're going to do something that's out of our comfort zone, it's going to check for everything that could possibly go wrong to keep you from getting hurt, to keep you from being embarrassed. And that's what's running in your head, worst case scenario. And because of it, we're getting all the feelings. And because we don't understand that this is just our imagination, it feels real. So we don't do it. We don't ask the girl out, because if you're run that things, you're going to walk over there. She's going to say no. You're going to feel embarrassed. You're going to have to walk back to your mates and feel stupid. You know, that you're going to present and you're going to drop all your papers on the floor and everyone's going to laugh at you. And you're going to trip over the podium and fall on your face. All those things that go through our head when we think about doing something out of our comfort zone. But what you have to bring, once you understand, this is my understanding of what made a difference in my life. I hope it makes a difference in your life. Once you understand that you cannot do anything without your brain running to the outcome, but it's just your imagination until you move. Until you move, it's your imagination. And knowing that, and knowing you have to have control over your imagination, you must be able to imagine what you want. You may as well imagine the best outcome. Because either way, it's not real in this moment. Are you getting this? You might as well imagine that presentation going brilliantly. You know, Nick runs this thing in his mind, you know, the perfect presentation, how he shows up, and he does that for hours or whatever it is before, and then he steps out and he does it exactly as it. He mentally rehearses it in his mind, and he flushes it out in that way. I just run this loop when I'm doing a presentation. It's just a simple loop. They're all going to be friendlies. They're going to love what I've got to say, and we're going to have a great time together. I just run that loop in my head. I'd like to think, I mean, I was with a lot of you last couple of weekends ago. I'd love to think that's how I show up. Because what's the other alternative? You know, last night on a call, a lady, she's been ill. She's been really ill. And she's in remission. But her whole life is kind of painful in as much as she's worrying about this thing happening again, which is kind of understandable when you've been really ill. But when I spoke to her and I said, at this point in time, what you're imagining is just your imagination. It's not real. You know, and my son was on the call and he was saying, you know, the thought that you can imagine something in the future and it changes the future is kind of mad. You know, like, and he did, without being rude, he didn't use the words law of attraction and manifesting, but basically that's what he's talking about. You know, I imagine the house and I imagine the money and the universe is going to bring it to me. That may be true, that is not, you can't change the future, but you can change your physical being in the future by imagining how you are right now. Because how you imagine, when it comes to your physical being, if you imagine being ill, seriously, if you know, that's the worst thing you can do. And so for our own health, it's so important to recognize that what we're imagining is not real. It's our imagination. It's the most, if you take nothing away from this call tonight, take this away. Nothing in your future at this point in time is real. how you show up and how your body is in that moment is dependent on what you're imagining, because it will affect you physically. It might not change the future, but it will change your physical being. So it's really important. It's not just, it's for everything. You bring yourself back to this moment and go, is what I'm imagining empowering me or not? That's the only question. Is what the scenario I'm running in my mind when I walk into that room, is it empowering me or not? And if it's not, imagine something else. Imagine it differently. That's all we have to do to change our lives. And the second thing, I know we're running on time here because we get chatting a lot, but the second thing is, people ask me what the most common phobia is. Is it needles? Is it spiders? Is it snakes? No. The biggest fear is the fear of failure. The most common fear of failure. It's what stops us being everything we can be. And I read this book, and it's a good book. It's called The 4-Hour Body by a guy called Tim Ferriss. Some of you may have read it. In the book, the man's trying to lose 14 pounds of body fat at the same time as putting on 14 pounds of muscle. And he uses his body as a kind of laboratory to do it. And he does it. It's a really good book. But he's talking about building muscle, actually not just getting fit, but actually putting muscle on. And he says this: if you want to just get fit, you get like stamina, you get a weight you can lift 20 times. And you lift it 20 times, you're going to build stamina, and but if you want to bulk up, if you want to grow muscle, you take a weight that you can only lift 3 or 4 times, where on the 4th time, you can't lift it. In other words, you fail on that 4th time. And you put everything into it and you fail, and it rips the muscle. It's painful. And then over the next 2 days, that scars, and that's what muscle is, scar tissue. Now, when I read that book, for me, it's the perfect analogy for us as human beings. If you want to grow as a human being, if you want to grow as a therapist, if you want to grow as a hypnotherapist or any other kind of therapist, or whatever job you're doing, if you want to grow and be everything you can be, you have to work to failure. You have to look at failure as your ally, not your enemy. You have to look at failure as something you are actively seeking out, not running away from. And when you hit failure, yes, it's painful, but it's in that moment you're going to grow. I read this the other day. Nothing grows in a comfort zone except complacency. I love that. So we're talking about confidence, but this all has to do with confidence. Be fearless enough to do it, to feel that bit of fear, feel that bit of anxiety, as Nick was talking about, and still do it, still show up. Karina, I keep talking about Karina because I know how incredible she is. But I have no doubt there are moments during the day when she's thinking about her presentation in HTL and thinking to herself, why did I say I would do it? I have no doubt. I know she's great and she will be brilliant. I have no doubt. But I have no doubt that those thoughts go through her head every now and again. Do they not? Yeah. Yeah. Well, put them out of your mind, because just, believe what I believe about you. But those things, we're all the same as human beings. And it's months off yet. It's months off, and not at all July. It's February and Karina's already having days and moments thinking, what did I do that for? So imagine the best outcome. We may as well imagine the best outcome. Either way, it's not real. So anyway, that's why I'm going to leave you with that thought, and I'm going to hypnotize you all. Are there any questions before we get into this? We're just sick of the sound of my voice. No? Sharon, what would you be doing that you're not doing now if you had total confidence that what you were thinking about would absolutely work?
Great question.
What would you be doing that you're not doing now if you had total confidence in what you were about to do, you could not fail at? So you can put your mic on and speak if you want. And that'll answer that question, doing videos in front of people. Yeah. Then we fully expect to see some videos from you. You know, yes. How many hypnotherapists or anyone in business now, we have to, like it or not, if we really want to be the best we can be, we've got to go and make videos. We've got to put ourselves on social media. No one likes doing it. But that's great. Because you are going to have the confidence when you leave here today to go and do that. Now, what's the worst thing can happen? I think we should all put out those outcuts from our videos, the stuff we throw away because it's too embarrassing.
We were talking about that today because we had a bunch of outtakes from from something we were working on.
Sorry,
I'll point you.
I couldn't unmute there. Sorry.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah. So I would do video TikToks
Good.
like
Good.
Freddy, getting
Good.
millions of views.
Well, that's how it happens, isn't it? And you've just got to do it. I didn't even know what I was doing when I put mine out. And so you just got to go and even if you don't look at them again, because we all do that. And we do it, don't we? We look in the mirror, all of us. I don't care who you are. You'll look in the mirror and you'll see everything that you think is wrong with you. That's not what other people see. Truly, it's not. But we all do that. We'll look in the mirror, we'll see everything that's wrong with us. We'll look at our videos and we'll see everything that's wrong with that video. That's not what other people see. So I'm looking forward to seeing your videos, Joanna. I'm looking forward to seeing yours, Sharon. Anyone else? What would you be doing that you're not doing now if you were totally confident that when you do that, you could not fail? What would you be doing that you're not doing now? Don't say asking me out because I'm just not free. No? Okay. All right, look, let's get into the hypnosis. Most of you are falling asleep already anyway. So we're getting to the hypnosis and we're going to sort this out. And while you're doing that, just think about where you want to be next week, something you'd love to do, something you'd love to achieve, and know that you can do it. Being more social. Right. Well, just do it. I know I keep talking. I'll tell you one more thing. When I was at school, maybe 11 years old, I had this sadistic PE master. I won't say his name. He may still be alive. He'd have to be about 110, but he would still be alive. But he was sadistic. And we were only little kids. And in those days, the classes were like 35 large, 35, 40 kids in the class. And he invented this game called Suicide Ball, where he'd get one of those big medicine balls. I don't make them these days. They're like weighed a ton. They're stuffed with straw and sawdust. And he'd put it in the middle of the gym and he'd make all the kids make a circle around it. And then he'd blow his whistle. And then when he blew the whistle, you had to get the ball. Now imagine 40 kids coming together all at once on this ball. Heads were smashed, legs were twisted, arms were twisted. It was the most painful, excruciating game ever. He loved it. And if you didn't get in, he'd hit you with his whistle. You could hit kids in those days. He'd hit you with a whistle if you didn't move fast enough. Now, the reason I'm telling you this, because the least painful place, because it's painful anywhere, but the least painful place was if you could actually get on that ball and get into the fetal position over the top of it and 40 kids would pile on top of you, but it weren't so painful. If you hesitated for even like half a second, you're kind of half in, half out. But the fear, because you know you're going to get hurt. There was no two ways about it. You knew you were going to get hurt, but it's just about how badly you could get hurt. But if you hesitated and you're half in, half out, that's the most painful place to be. And he didn't do it for this reason. But as an adult, I think about that game and I think about the things that I'm going to do. If I'm going to present, I might as well go all in. If I'm going to talk to you, I might as well give everything. What's the point of being half in, half out? If you're going to be a hypnotherapist, be a hypnotherapist. You're going to make videos. You're going to do it, Sharon. You're going to do it, Joanna. Do it. Don't half be in, half out. You're both fabulous women. You've got something to say. You've got people to help. You just say, going to make it. You know, get in. That's my thinking on this. The moment you commit, go, I'm all in. I'm going to give this everything. Because it's the least painful place, believe it or not. Okay, anyway, that's my Freddy's philosophical philosophy for this evening.
What a metaphor.
But anyway, it's a true story. It's not, you know, it's actually happened. I've still got the bumps and lumps to prove it. But yeah, okay, let's get into this hypnosis. Get into it with me. Understand that while we're together, you are all that matters to me and Nick. And we want you to have an experience. We want you to go off this call feeling differently about yourself, showing up, knowing that you are, look, Diana's already gone. Look at her. I don't know if you can see Diana on her. Look, she's already, you can't wait. Diana's what we call a hypno junkie. She just can't wait to get into trance. All right. Okay, everyone, get yourselves comfortable and make sure you're in a safe place. You're not sitting on a window ledge 10 stories up with a hot cup of coffee in your lap or something. Make sure you're in a safe place. Now, no matter how relaxed you become, your chair, your bed, whatever you're sitting on will support you. So if you're ready to do this, what I'd like to do is just get comfortable, place your feet separately, place your hands separately. Come on, Bar, I can see you. No hesitation there. Come on, get into it. Place your hands on your legs or place your hands separately. And when you're ready to feel into this feeling of total self-confidence and self-belief, take that breath in, hold it for a moment. And as you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. Only as quickly as you're ready to experience the most wonderful experience of hypnosis and self-confidence. For a moment, focus on those tiny muscles around your eyes and relax those muscles completely. Get a sense of that happening automatically. Every word I say relaxes those muscles more and more. Imagine it's happening and there's nothing you can do about that. And for a moment, think about the people that love you, people that you love, people that you've helped with your words and your kindness, people who are living their life differently because of you, because of your belief in them. Get a sense of that now. And as you think about those people, as you feel into that feeling of love, your eyes have relaxed so completely now, they just won't work for a while. And when you realize that your eyes are so relaxed, they just won't work, you can test them, find them completely locked. That's right. Now, nothing bothers or affects you, nothing disturbs you. All that matters now is you, the sound of my voice, and that feeling calm, inner self-confidence and belief. I'm going to say the word confidence. And as you hear that word, that feeling of relaxation around your eyes will just flood down through your body like a bliss anesthesia. Every muscle, nerve, and fiber will relax. But no matter how relaxed your mind and body become, that chair, that bed you're in will support you. confidence. Get a sense of that now, just dropping down through space and time. Imagine that's happening and there's nothing you can do about that. Less and less aware of yourself as a physical being, but totally aware of yourself as a mind. How incredible are you? And your mind drifts without boundaries, without borders, without limits. With the eyes closed, you can continue to go even deeper into that place of peaceful, calm, inner awareness. A place that almost seems to give off signals that directs awareness down toward it, into it, more and more comfortably, more and more effortlessly, more and more completely and deeply than before. Where even the effort it takes to make the effort that it might take to tell the exact position of arms, legs, or the entire body now that seems to drift through time and space. That wonderful free floating place of effortless relaxation and letting go. Allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own ways. You drift as a mind. Because you have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. That unconscious mind, the back of the mind, that instinctive, intuitive part of your being that's monitoring your heartbeat, your blood pressure, your body temperature, that's scanning the environment, keeping you safe, can continue to hear, to understand, respond to those things I might say without the need for you to do anything at all. It's so much easier for the conscious mind simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. That's right. Letting go completely now. Just drifting through time and space. And the unconscious mind can allow that drifting to occur while the conscious mind drifts off someplace else entirely now. That's right, in your own time, in your own way. Aware of events that occur along the way as the unconscious mind utilizes that opportunity to alter your awareness, continue that learning in whatever way is the right way for you. Learning that feeling of letting go. Just let go. Every negative, limiting belief, let it go. Get a sense of me there right beside you, cutting away those cords. Negative thoughts, gone. Limiting beliefs, snip, snip, gone. Irrational fears, gone. Doubts, gone. Just let go and feel that thing of freedom. Get a sense of that happening now. Imagine there's nothing you can do about that. And I can wonder whether you're aware that you've drifted deeply into hypnosis. Because the deeper you go, the better you will feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you're going to go. Get a sense of that now. And just when you think you've reached the ultimate space of profound hypnosis and trance, my voice, my words will take you 10 times deeper. Imagine that's happening and there's nothing you can do about that. And as you drift even deeper, you can use your unconscious mind as an inner resource, an inner strength that you can learn from and really have an experience, one that's satisfactory to you. All that's needed to build a good rapport with the unconscious is to have a line of communication. Sometimes the unconscious communicates by movement. And it may be that the eye reflex changes and the eyes flicker. That's right. Or the head moves slightly. Or a muscle twitches involuntarily. That's right. You can try and keep those eyes still, find they flicker even more. It may be that the left hand moves all by itself, starts to feel lighter and lighter, starts to lift up, drift up, or the right hand goes even higher. Only the unconscious mind knows which it will use, because the unconscious mind knows more about you than anyone else. And so as you drift deeply into hypnosis, even deeper than you've ever been before, I'd like your unconscious mind to search through all the things in your life and pick one thing that is vitally dependent on your confidence, a way you love to feel, or something you love to achieve or do, or something that no longer suits you. And when your unconscious mind has made that choice, I'd like it to allow you to know by allowing an honest, unconscious signal to occur. And I don't know whether it be your left hand, right hand, both hands, eyes that flicker, or you go deeper into hypnosis. But you'll know before I do as the movement begins. That's right. One thing that is of vital and utmost importance, dependent on your confidence as a human being, as a person. And when it's found that one thing, I'd like it to allow you to know. And even as you become aware of certain sensations, that's right, eyes flickering, body moving, hands lighter and lighter, the mind automatically moves toward those thoughts and ideas, images that clarify most clearly for you the very things that have held you back because of a lack of confidence. Awareness migrates toward those things that have needed attention for so long. In the same way animals migrate without thinking, without trying, they just seem to know when to go, where to go, what to do to take care of themselves. That inner voice, that inner feeling. Now I'd like your unconscious mind to hand the signals to that part of you that is responsible for that protective mechanism that makes you aware of everything that could possibly go wrong. That's been keeping you safe and well, maybe from the moment you first drew breath. And when that part has taken full control of those honest, unconscious signals, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you and I understand that it's taken control. That's right. Even as you go deeper down into hypnosis, you become aware of those sensations. And now I'd like to ask that part to explain to you at some level of consciousness what it is that it's been doing for you, what its positive intention is, and why at times you felt that lack of confidence or self-esteem. And when you fully understand what that part has been trying to do for you, I'd like it to increase those signals. So that's right, body moving, eyes flickering, so that you understand at some level of consciousness what its positive intention has been. Good. Now I'd like to ask that part to go to your creative mind. That part of you that dreams, that has ideas, that makes plans. And allow that wonderful creative mind to run and flow and work and come up with lots of new choices, ways of keeping you safe, well, and protected, but at the same time allowing you the total self-confidence that you need in yourself as a human being. An understanding of your true worth and value, just how incredible you are. And each time it identifies a new choice that it believes will keep you safe and well, but at the same time allowing you that wonderful feeling of self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. I'd like it to increase those signals. And as that part searches, then you go deeper into hypnosis, even deeper than before. That's right, it's working brilliantly. 10, 20, 100 new choices now. As that part searches, I want you to have the most incredible experience of liberation and freedom. Because in a moment, the essence of who you are, the I in the I am, the passenger, the observer in that physical body is going to separate out through the top of your head and leave your body in that chair for a while. Get a sense of that happening now. Just drifting up out through the top of your head and leaving your body in that chair. And as you drift away from that body, I want you to look back at that body and just for a moment, show it some appreciation. How incredible are you? How incredible is your body? Because you are the most incredible creation. Think about it. In the history of mankind, there has never been another you. You are unique on a planet of 8 billion souls. There is only one of you. How incredible are you? Make a decision to look after that body, to treat that body with some love, because it is worth it. And I want you to notice that the essence of who you are is ageless. It's infinite, has no edge. Get a sense of drifting even further away from your body, drifting up out of that building you're in. Get a sense of drifting so high that you could actually look back at this incredible planet we're living on. Get a sense of that beautiful blue planet just spinning through space and time. The whites of the clouds and the mountaintops, the greens of the forest, the blues of the ocean. Get a sense of that beautiful planet. How incredibly lucky are we to have landed on this planet? And notice how your perspective changes. Things that had seemed overwhelming no longer have any power over you at all. Things that had seemed hard or difficult to overcome no longer have any power over you at all. Notice that the essence of who you are, when it's separated from your physical body, notice that the essence of who you are is pure light and pure energy and pure love. That is who you are. Get a sense of that now. And in your mind's eye, get a sense of a target, like an archery target or a spinning vortex of colored lights between you and that beautiful planet. And in the center of that spinning vortex of light is a feeling of self-confidence, self-belief, self-esteem, self-worth. And in a moment, I'm going to make this sound. As I make that sound, you're going to be sucked into that vortex of light. And your mind and body will be flooded with the most incredible, intense feeling of self-confidence, self-worth, self-esteem. And I want you to know that you are worthy of that feeling. It's going to be the most incredible experience. Get ready as you hear that sound. And now you're in that space. Feel into that feeling. Get a sense of it now flooding through your body. And understanding you are love and you are loved and you are loving. Get a sense of that now. The core of your being is pure light and energy and joy. And you are worthy. Get a sense of that now. You're already a whole being. You're already the most incredible creation. And you are good enough. Get a sense of that now. And you can take that feeling into everything you do. You can show up anywhere and be your true self, knowing that your true, authentic self is good enough. Get a sense of that now. Feel that feeling of relief. You're already a whole being. You don't need to be anyone else. You're already the most beautiful, incredible creation. You are love. You are loved. You are loving. How incredible are you? And notice as your body's flooded with that feeling of total self-confidence, self-belief, self-esteem, self-worth, that all of those doubts that were placed on you in your life have gone, because they cannot coexist in your body and mind with that feeling of self-confidence and self-worth. This feeling is going to stay with you. It's going to grow stronger day by day. Imagine it's happened and there's nothing you can do about that. And the harder you try and doubt yourself, the more confident you become. The more someone tries to place doubt on you, the deeper your understanding of your true worth becomes. Imagine that's happened. There is nothing you can do about that. Feel that feeling of freedom now. Free of the past, free of the future, free to be in this moment. You are love, and you are loved, and you are loving. You are the most incredible creation. Now I'd like to ask that part responsible for that protective mechanism to pick one of the new choices, the one that it believes will keep you safe and well, but at the same time allowing you that feeling of calm, inner self-confidence and self-belief. Knowing you don't have to be the best, the biggest, the most beautiful, the tallest, blondest. You just have to be you, because who you are is everything. Who you are is the most incredible creation. And you are worthy. Get a sense of that now. Now I'd like to ask that part to take this new choice, integrate it into your body and mind at a molecular, cellular, neurological level. And when it's done that completely, I want it to increase those signals so you and I understand that those feelings have now been integrated into your body. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like to doubt yourself, the deeper the understanding of your worth becomes. Imagine that's happened and there's nothing you can do about it. Go with your unconscious often as you need to know that you are loved and you are loved and you are loving. To know that you are worthy. You're as good as anyone on this planet, but better than no one. To be free of judging and judgment. How incredible are you? Feel that freedom now. And go with your unconscious often as you need to know that you're free. Free of every doubt, free of every limitation, free of the past, free of the future, free to be. And only when your unconscious mind knows and has made those changes at a molecular, cellular, neurological level, that will allow you that freedom forever to be everything you want to be, to live your life fearlessly, to be the one on that medicine ball, to be willing to seek out that point of failure, knowing that puts you in the minus percentage of people on this planet who are willing to work to failure, to look at failure as your ally, no longer looking at something to be avoided, something to you to seek out, because you are fearless and you have a total belief in yourself. And now you can fail and know that your core being does not change. How incredible is that? In a moment, I'm going to count to 10. Every suggestion I've given you, your mind and body will act upon. And on 8, your eyes will open and you will feel incredible because you are incredible. And on 10, that feeling of self-confidence, that understanding, that deep understanding of your real worth, value, it's going to grow stronger day by day. As you go about your life in that wonderful space of no judgment and no fear of judgment. In that space of knowing that you're already the most incredible creation. Feel into that now. So get ready. As I count to 10, on 8, your eyes will open. You'll feel like you've had a weight lifted. Feel like you've had the blinkers removed. You will see life differently and experience life differently. From that space of calm, inner confidence and self-belief. 1, being absolutely wonderful. 2, to create the life you truly want and know you are worthy of it. 3, a feeling of freedom from every doubt that was ever placed on you. 4, feel the force of that wonderful feeling of self-confidence and self-belief flooding through your body. You are loved and you are loved and you are loving. That's who you are. 5, feeling incredibly alive. How good is it to be alive? To be you. How incredible, how beautiful are you? 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely incredible. 9, 10. How you feeling about Las Vegas now, Karina? Fearless, yes, exactly. I'm looking forward to your video, Sharon. Yours, Joanna. Can't wait. Accept whatever happens, okay? You are super confident. Imagine that's happened and there's nothing you can do about it. Right, if you've got any questions for us, don't have to. I know some of you are still tranced out. But if there's anything to say before we leave you today, I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. I hope you enjoyed the experience. Nice to see you, Nina. Anyone? Hands up anywhere? No? Okay, fine.
I've been trying to talk for a minute here. Words aren't coming. I feel really, I feel really tranced out. It's good. I feel great.
Okay, good. Nice to see you, Kirsten. See you all. Sam, good to see you. Right. So there's no questions. What